It's time for sports on the Quinn Broadcasting Network. QBC brings you local sporting events, action-packed specials, and play-by-play coverage of the area's sporting activities. From Pop Warner to college sports, Quinn Broadcasting covers it all. Join us now here on QBC for today's exciting event.
So I'm going to just provide a brief explanation or presentation on what's going on in the district and obviously Wheaton Field and also the high school. So I'm going to start with our introductions.
We don't have it though. We have it though.
And we have with us, again, I want to thank Craig Atkinson, Coach Cerise, as far as hosting that, and the Thunderbolt Club. All they do, we have our administrative meetings here at no cost. And it's a good place. Most school districts, they don't have that liberty to have the capacity to say, hey, let's go meet at the Thunderbolt Club and have our meeting where you're off grounds and you're not distracted by what's going on in the buildings. And it's always after school, by the way. It isn't during the day. We need to be in school during the day. So thank you for all that you do. So at 9 o'clock, we're about 20 minutes behind, but we can catch up. So have breakfast at 9:45ish. We'll take a walk to Wheaton Field, and the goal is to have you on the field, walk in the field, and Coach Lagama, our athletic director, will be your presenter there. And then right after that, we'll go to the high school, and our principal, Jamie Sutton, will be your guide and going over that tour. That will take at least an hour because of all the things that have gone on in the past 5 years. Okay. Please be with me. Also, introductions, we have our Millville Board of Education members, our president, Kim Carter. Kim. And our vice president of our board, Debbie Malone. And our BA back there in the purple, Rich Davidson. And so I want to stop there and say, this is a long time coming for the field. And so just because somebody wants something doesn't mean it happens. And so it takes the support of the board. They have to believe in it. And so there's other things that are going on in the district that they also believe in that they're putting our resources towards. And so I want to go through that. But I want to thank Kim and Debbie and the board and also the BA because they hold the purse strings as far as how we're going to do this, how we're going to make this happen. You know, many people have tried, not just in Millville and other districts. We got to make it happen. They're the people that make it happen. Okay? And again, I have Principal Sutton in the back right there. Say hi, Jamie.
Hi, everybody.
And Dave Lagama. So the shoemakers' kids have no shoes. Somebody has my clicker, so I'll. So this is something for us folks that have been in education for a while. We went through COVID. This is Jason Kessler, and you see him pointing the gun at a kid's head for the temperature. And I know and then like if you've lived through this, it's like, well, that's not the worst thing kids have been through. If you remember back in the Cold War era where we were hiding under our desks and all. So I try to tell the staff this isn't new in education that we don't like it, we don't want it to happen, but you know as well as I do that it hasn't been the first time that we've had to protect our kids, even if it was hiding under a desk. But my kindergarten year, I was part of those drills in the 60s, so I do remember that. Now I want to go briefly into some of the things we're doing because I want to bring a balanced approach to where we're putting our resources in the school district. So we put a lot of money into the schedule to where you have in K-5 where you have language arts and math, but then there's a period called the win period right there where kids get no new instruction. That's where they get pulled out for reading recovery or for OT, PT, and speech, all the related services. But it seems like we always pull the kids out of their primary core curriculum subject areas. And it does, you all know it makes sense, but we had to make a schedule to facilitate that. And so we have that at the K-5 level. And then class size. And if you'll see here in grades K to 5, back in 1920, class sizes were about 2021, which were good to from when we went to school. But you can see I lowered the class sizes to make sure not only it was safe for COVID at the time, but then also to have more intense direct instruction with our kids. So you can see that the average class size in 1920 was 19 and a half kids in a classroom at K to 5, and now it's 14.1 last year. Also a new reading series. A lot of work went into the American Reading Company, the implementation of that. We've spent over $2 million in the last year and a half making sure our kids are reading on grade level. Real simple concept here. We want kids to be reading on grade level and have progress monitoring. And the biggest issue is nipping it in the bud and creating those supports in a timely manner, not at the end of the year. And at Lakeside was tough to handle my first year here, and it was a junior high, and kids were all over the place. And now we went to more of and it was in the 70s. I was a part of this teams model where kids are with 4 core curriculum subject areas, and this way those teachers can meet and talk about the issues in their core team. And again, that costs money. We had to add $1.6 million, Rich?
Correct.
So this could happen with the K to 5 class size, and also Lakeside going to teams, adding staff. And then the health of the buildings. So Silver Run right now is a big project of us. It's getting new heat, new AC, new shelving, and new ceilings. And this is not a small undertaking. There's over 40 classrooms, and then you have the cafeteria, the gym, the library, and the main office. Everything is new. Every room will get new devices for air quality. And for you as local taxpayers, that whole project is paid completely with the COVID money that was given to the district. So everybody go, where is the money going? It went $12 million of our COVID money went towards Silver Run, getting Silver Run done. We put money towards class size, but the bulk of the money went towards air quality and making sure we have a safe learning environment for our kids, because Silver Run has been an issue for many years. And our next project is Holly Heights. That'll be next summer. And so we had $3 million left over, if you can see at the bottom. And then we applied for a BPU grant. We waited about a year, and then I tickled Salmon Ventures. And next thing you know, Rich, about a week later, what happened, Rich?
We got a nice email. Congratulations. Here's a $5 million grant.
So we got a $5 million grant from the BPU, and then also because we are a former Abbott district, the state is supposed to pay for our projects. So we called up the state and said, we're doing all our work here. You need to chip in. And so we just got confirmation this week, Rich, that we got at least $4 million that we're getting. So you're looking at $24 million that's not coming from local taxpayers to take care of the buildings infrastructure in our schools. $24 million, okay? We had to, I was talking to some folks about Millville Pride, and we don't do a good enough job of celebrating all the good things that we do every day and what we do for the kids every day, and what you've done for the kids the last 40 or 50 years. And so when I came in, again, with the board, we need a public information officer that's the glue of the district. And Meg Finney, she's a graduate, I think 2005 or 6. She's a dynamo. She connects all the schools, makes sure everything is consistent in our messaging to our parents and to our community. And you can see that her work. We have marquees. A 4th one will be going up at Child. We build it through the budget, so we want to make sure that the communication's going out there, but it's district-wide. So if there is an emergency, like air quality, it went out to those signs so people know if there's an emergency also. But also just district-wide information as well as school-based information. So in a couple of years, we'll have all of them done. And again, our website is dynamic, and all our social media is dynamic and working fine. And then security, that's a big topic. We spent a lot of money on security. I know I have slides, but last year when things were happening, we had to come up with about $600 to get armed guards. So each school has an armed guard, and we're looking at even another posturing about what to do to improve it. We also have vestibules, so when you come in, there's 2 steps to get in, a first door and a second door. We were limited here in cameras, and that's helped us out a lot as far as deterring incidents on property. And then also our security drills that we really had to strengthen the human behavior part of security. Teachers can't, or students can't prop a door open. You got to be conscious of where somebody can get in. And so you can see here, you have the armed guards on the upper right. You have the cameras. We have really an incident room at Culver that has hundreds and hundreds of cameras of all of our 9 buildings. And then we had to have panic alarms. We didn't have panic alarms. So if, God forbid, something happens, you can't go to a phone and call, okay, everybody's nervous, push a button. It goes directly to the police. It was like, this was standard, but that's something we had to work on. And I wanted to do all this because, again, we work with the Office of School Preparedness too. So we actually do the drills, and we actually assess how well we do them with the teachers to improve school safety. So that's something that's happening every month, where they come in and we assess what are we doing right, what are we doing wrong, and what corrections do we need to make. And then advocating for Millville. So working with the governor's office, the Ed Law Center. The Ed Law Center is the legal group that provided Millville with the Abbott money for the last 30 years, if you're familiar with that, okay? Because we're an Abbott district that gets money based on our needs more than, say, other districts. NJASA is a superintendent's group, and then also the NJ legislature. And that picture just has me testifying for funding for Millville. The bottom right is David Shira. I work with him on school funding for the needy districts. He's a powerful person in the country, and I'm going to be working with him more on infrastructure to get us more money for our schools, because there's some politics going on with us not getting the money we can get to upgrade some properties in Millville. And then that's me just telling Governor Murphy he's doing something wrong. True story. So, but it got me appointed to the mental health task force, so that's where I was last night. So keep your mouth shut, that's what I learned. And my secretary, Vicki Charles, said, just say no. I said, no, I got to go. And now to the track. So Dave, you want to come up and just help? Because what we're going to do is we're going to go through it twice. I want to go through the pictures, but then when you're on the field, you'll have a better idea of what to ask Dave or not about the track, okay? So you can stay up there and point if you want, or do whatever comes up, Dave. You can be my Vanna. So it's a new track, a turf field, lighting, and it's a multi-purpose field. It's not a one-sport field. So that's the field, that's the design, and you can see that it's all zoned for all the sports. So it's football, girls and boys soccer, field hockey, and boys and girls lacrosse. And Dave is responsible for all the color, along with Jamie. Anybody complains about the color, they get the credit, they get the flack for it. But you'd be surprised how many swatches we have to look at, and even the green in the field, like what color green alternates? Is it olive? Jamie, remember you were like, that's too dark.
Olive green, yellow green.
A lot goes into what the field looks like, and it's not me, it's really our team looking at that. So thank you, Dave and Jamie, for that. And you can see like bolts, and you have the Thunderbolt in the end zone. That's supposed to be here today. Dave, you can interject whenever.
So the colors were chosen. So traditionally,
I didn't want red on the field.
That's a good point. So you
Go ahead. Now go.
I'm justifying it right now. So white is traditionally a football color. When you go to other turf fields, that's why football will be white. Yellow is a traditional soccer color when you go to other soccer fields. So we kept those two similar so that if our players are playing in another field, they don't have to worry about the multiple lines. And like Tony said, we didn't want red more gray on our field, but unfortunately we needed to. We needed to. So you can see the red, the girls because of the circle that goes inside the end zone, which is orange. We had to make that a color that was going to be somewhat a little bit muted, but different from orange. So red was the closest one that was going to be different, but not, just screaming, hey, look at me. There you go.
And so, the reason why.
And so, we had and Mr. Hoover will know about this, that it's a 6-lane track going to 5. I don't know when that happened. And then because of that, when we had new stands, you can see that there's a gap between the press box and that. And so we had to spend a good deal of money moving the stands into the slot. It's my song. It's cute though for today's song. So anyway, that's why we had to spend money. So it's not when people I'm doing this because you need to know. This isn't like it's this academic where we got a track, we're placed a track. A lot of things had to happen to make it right. And so that was a lot of money to move the stands back in order to get the 6 lane. Okay?
Finally, who?
So that.
Well, I'd be gone before it happened.
So I think what I did was I made a little video before they start demoing everything. For you guys have been around a while, and you look at the fence, and you can see that it was tired. And Mario said, "Yeah, I painted that fence back in 1972." I said, "Well, it's got to be older than that." So you can see the fence was really beat up, as well as the turf.
And going around the bend here, you know this as well, the track was banked a little bit to the outside. So I know one of the things Tony was on top of the company about was making sure that the bank is proper. Like if you ever go to a racetrack, it's supposed to be banked inwards so that when you're running, the carrying windward. You don't worry about the rain running off. That's been correct.
So I did this around, I only had like 30 seconds, but I also, you got to make the contractor, when you do it, you want to make sure this is what we had and this is missing, whatever, so I wanted to just capture that. But you can see how, it was time. It was time. And then the loss of the field, so now is the reason why. So when we had the new high school, our athletic department lost the whole field. So there's a lot of complaints about when is this team going to play, when's that team going to play. Well, on site at the high school, we lost the entire field due to the construction of the high school. So, and then Jeff Lambert our board member took a shot of it presently. This is what it looks like now. Sometimes I was like, this is a real picture, but this is it here. Was that clear? And we're also, part of the job is our kids at Memorial that get dropped off there get dropped off on the street. And there's no schools today that drop off kids on the street anymore. You got to get dropped off on property. And we had some incidents regarding security. So now at Memorial, they'll come through, get dropped off here, and then there's going to be another driveway going out. So they get dropped off on property. Okay? So when they're going to finish paving, we just said it'd be cheaper to get that done now with that. Okay? So that's what they call change orders, and it wasn't for football, soccer, it was for safety. Okay? So we have a new track, new turf, new ticket booths, because we have the ticket booth in the classroom, right? Right? New lights. The lights were over 30 years old, and they were like a 10 candle light power. We're at 50 candle. It's going to be much brighter. And Mario was talking about, before we started, there's lights on the field, but there's also the lights on the poles that go behind the stands. So it's going to be lit pretty well. I don't know if the neighbors are going to like it, but it should be pretty good. And then the stands had to be moved back, and then I talked about the fencing. And there's pavement and concrete and sidewalks that all had to be done.
And then John Barlow's monument. Right in this area here, if you recall, it's now right here. So when you walk in, as you go in between the ticket booths, you're going to be staring right at the monument walking in. It's actually going to be a really an amazing experience if you walk into our facility.
And the scoreboard, when you go, you're going to see three poles, and I think
Jamie goes, Tony, what are you trying to do, a crucifixion on our property? I said, yeah, it's the Holy Trinity. Tony Cerise, Craig Atkinson, and Mr. McCormick, Hall of Fame 33. But what we did add is, I'm a competitive person, and if you watch our games, our teams are fast and they score fast. And then we play a slower team. The refs tend, and Larry Miller would say that he was always texting me like, "What's going on with the play clock?" And then Rich Van Noord is a big one. Like, why it's too long and they take over a minute to get off a play, and that takes the ball out of our hands. So we're actually having a play clock too. So it makes the refs honest and the other team honest that the play has to go off in 40 seconds. Okay. Yeah. And there'll also be advertisements that we'll work on. Now this is the turf, and this is like a big, gigantic, football-sized French drain that you put your baby in. So all the water goes down into those stones and into these big 36-inch pipes. Each sideline has 2 of them. And we have really good sand. I don't think we really needed all that, but the code was we had to have it. So you have those big tubes going underneath the field out to the city sewer system, and you can see there's like 9 inches of stone, like 3 inches of small gravel, there's a coating, and you have the carpet above it. And then you can see that on the carpet there's going to be a sand infill and then a rubber granular infill. That's in almost every track that has an artificial turf. And then it says here, it's important for safety. So when we were looking at what product is going to be the safest, the Shaw product had to me, they look at, like, you could put more sand, more infill. You have to have a good carpet, just like you do in your house. And so, and the G-Max test, it was like dirt is like a 78, and the lower the number, the better. And then this is about 90, where some tracks are 115 all the way up to 150. That's not as good. So when kids hit the ground takes the buffer. It buffers the impact, and that's the explanation there. So they have to absorb the shock. So every year, Mr. Lagama's got to get a team out there to do this G-Max test to make sure that the field is safe. Okay? And then also they would groom the field. We'll groom it every time, but they do another grooming, just like we do the gym floor. And then this is the gate that Dave talked about. No, it's good. It's the ticket booth on each side. You see that? And then there'll be gates. And it'll say John Barbaro Stadium at Wheaton Field. It's not there yet. This is the press box, and you can see that's going to be painted. The blue will remain, and the bottom will be like a, what would you call it, like a beige? Like a neutral color?
It's a cream color. Latte is, I think, needed.
Latte, that's again, that's
You'll go to high school, we have these wrappings, and we're going to make it Millville then, like, tell them, Dave, where you're going to look at what we're going to do.
Yeah, so we're looking to put the end with the shield on this side and possibly the other side. I know Jamie and I, along with Brad from Designer Records, we were looking at maybe putting something back here as well, just so that when people are coming for our track events, because that backside is also where our field events are at. So just so that when you're walking in, you know, our field is fully branded, right? It's fully logoed out, whether it's the primary logo or the M's or the plane, so that people know when they enter our facility, they know where they're at. So that's the goal.
This was like 4 or 5 years ago, the branding. So this is just carrying over from the high school. And then the Thunderbolt Club and the signs for champions. So Craig, Coach Race, Dave, you guys were there. I felt that we don't have anything to recognize our champions. We've got to put signs there. So
the Thunderbolt Club was gracious enough to say, we'll support that. So I don't know where Coach Race or Craig, if you want to talk about it, what you have planned.
Mr. President. Here, Coach. Well, what we're going to do is put our state championship teams on plaques along that walkway walking into the stadium. And basically it's going to look similar, or it's going to look exactly like our plaques from the Hall of Fame. So I think we have, you say 10 state champion teams?
About 10, yeah.
And this is only the state championship teams that participate at Wheaton Field.
Correct.
It's not basketball or baseball. It's going to be track and field and football. So in football, you have the 1917 team. You have the 53-54 Barbosh year undefeated teams. You have the 61-62 football team, 75 team. And the three most recent is 16 2 years ago and last year. So we have all those football teams, and then track and field, you have in the late 90s, early 2000s, you have 3 track and field teams by Hoover, state championship teams coached by Coach Hoover, and there's also, that's boys, and then there's a girls team 2019 coached by Ralph Craig that'll be up on those plaques as you walk into the stadium with a picture of the teams and a biography for each team. So that's how it's going to work.
The pictures will be 14 by 14, and they should be very clear from what the told me yesterday.
But there'll be pictures, I think, you see a picture of the team there.
Be a little bit more
personal than say 1975. A little bit more personal. I would like to visualize like Yankee Stadium when you have the memorial for those teams. We have a brick fundraiser, so Karen McCaffrey's pushing that out. So
Show them, Dave, that
those blocks right there where the bricks are going to go. So if you remember the bricks that we're selling, we started a Millville Education Foundation that's not related to the school, but will help support school programs.
And the brick fundraiser
can take $2,000 to sell those bricks and help our school district out and have Millville alumni run that organization. And so that's where the bricks will go as you walk in, those commemorative bricks.
And that information is on the Thunderbolt Club website, thunderboltclub.com. It's on the school website. If you need information on how to get one of the bricks, I don't know, I think there's about 60 or 70, I think they sold.
There's almost 100 now.
100 now.
It's getting bigger.
So people are looking to, commemorate someone who they know played there, family member, what have you.
It was a good Father's Day gift for a lot of people. I think, Debbie, you did that, right? So, and so I'm going to move on now to the Millville High School. I wasn't here, but they say it's 20 years in the making. And we're still not done. They're still there. It started out as a $110 million project. It's up to $163 million. And they still have to do the HVAC in the A and B wings, top and bottom, which is another $20 million to do all that. So that they didn't do originally. So we're working with the state to make sure they complete that school to have new heating and air conditioning in those A and B wings. Okay. And then that's a picture of the school on the right. And then Principal Sutton gave us a picture of like the wrappings that are on the front of the buildings. You can see through, but when you drive through, those wrappings of the plane and bolts and all that. And even at the gym, when you go to the high school, I'm selling it short, you'll go there, you'll be very, very, very impressed of all the work that has been done at the high school and the state-of-the-art facilities that our kids have now. And so we'll do that at our second part of this. And then
you want to give a brief explanation of where the $163 million came from for the project?
Go ahead.
Okay, so we're being an Abbott district. The state picks up all of our major construction projects, so that $163 million was totally financed and funded through the state. So there was no cost to the Millville taxpayers or residents.
Good catch. Yeah. So and that's part of that being that former Abbott district. And so now I want to add to that now it looks like other people are trying to cut in on what the Supreme Court said we should get that money. And so we got to be at the table to throw some punches and make sure that we get what we need, like Bacon or Rick Avenue. And there are 2 schools that are on the list, but if somebody comes in front of us, we don't get that money. Okay? So as we get done here, I talked to the foreman. They're doing, if you're familiar with the field, Memorial High School's over here. They're doing all cement and sidewalk work today on the side of the field. And so you have a choice of, you're here now. If you want to walk, you can park on the 7th Street maintenance building parking lot. If there's room, there's some trucks here, but you can park here and then go in. The gate will be right here where the visitors gate is that you know. On 7th Street. Does anybody have any questions about that? Because that's where we're going to go on next. Dave is going to lead us in that particular.
Before we go, talk a little bit about the funding, so people aren't fully aware of what's happening for the field.
Yeah, people seem to think like, first, I love Mike Trout. We follow him every night. Coach will tell you that, but he didn't pay me for it. During COVID, so we had money, just like your house, you have a savings account. In schools, we have what's called a capital reserve account. And is Mr. Puzak here? So you're aware about the capital reserve account. So at the end of the year, they clean up all the accounts. And up, you might have $100,000, $500,000 that's unspent. Like you take all the accounts, and you can use it for different things. But the wise thing to do is put it in capital reserve for one-time expenses. And over a couple of years, you collect that money. So part of it was Bryce Cal had a couple $1 million in there already. But then through COVID, we didn't have, we had to pay the busing. There was some contractual thing, but we saved on busing, substitutes, a lot of things. So we had money, and we put that money into that capital reserve. And then we had enough money to do this project without borrowing money. If you look at Absegami, Oakcrest, and Cedar Creek, they went out to a referendum. So when you get your tax bill, you get a tax bill for the school, then you have a debt service. We don't have any debt service. And if you do use that money the next year, because people say, well, you can say, then what happens the next year? You have to find that money, because you'll have to make cuts. So it's not a good idea to use it, plug a budget. If you remember back in 2010, John Fordyce plugged the budget with federal money. The next year, Christie took over, and you have $2 billion. So the next year, the money's not there. So that's why if you took the money and you saved the money, you would still need to put it back in the budget the next year, and then taxpayers would be good. So it's better to be prudent, put it in the savings account, and then use it for one-time expenses like Wheaton Field. And we have vestibules, right? We have what other capital projects?
So we have Wheaton Field, we have the vestibule, we have also, we've instituted security cameras and a number of other things that we're doing throughout the district, a lot of small projects.
So they're one-time purchases, so we're being fiscally prudent with that money, and we're not borrowing money. We're not lease purchasing anything. We're using the money one-time, pay-as-you-go to get this stuff done. So it's a wise way of spending taxpayer money. It's taxpayer money, and it's going. And the other thing is, it goes to the kids. And I want to end with that, because for some reason, being in Millville for 3 years, I feel like some people, I don't know, it's dirt. You play on dirt, and it's like, I know that. But if these kids go to Mainland and Ocean City, it's just it really makes you feel sorry for the kids, feel bad for the kids that we're not giving them what the other kids have. It just fulfills that feeling that's not positive. So this is all about kids and how they're engaged in sports, and they stay in school and they want to come to school, and we want to have it. And you'll see in the high school with the library and the kitchen. So it's not just the sports; it's I'm proud to be at Millville. You know, it's a competition too with other districts as far as with the tech and all. I'll say that, but we gotta stay on that edge and not be crazy. I go get a loan to get this done. We had money and we spent it on kids. So I want to make sure, and thank you I forgot about that, Coach. So a lot of, hearsay about who's paying for it. You paid for it, but we didn't borrow money to pay for it. We didn't borrow your money to pay for it, to be clear. It's for the kids. It is for the kids. And so, again, we had the breakfast. We're going to go, we're about 10 minutes behind. We're going to go to Wheaton Field. Dave will lead us there. And then we're going to have Principal Jamie Sutton at the high school right after we leave Wheaton Field, okay? So we can gather our things. I want to thank Coach Race, but also Craig and Dave for hosting us here. Thank you. Dave?
Getting in the project, so can't make it, or wouldn't take it anyway, see what it's going to look like. I'll leave this up here, you want to take the top, right?
Thank you, and I'll see you over there.
At Mintz Insurance, we're proud to have been serving our customers for nearly 80 years, offering 30 different insurance products for your auto, home, and business. And to help ensure that you're getting the best rates possible, we give you up to 3 quotes for every policy, so you can choose what's right for you. At Mintz, we're part of the community, local representatives, supporting events, and proud of it. It's part of who we are. Mintz Insurance. Call today and find out how we can help you save on insurance, or visit us at mintzinsurance.com.
More than a century ago, General Tire was born, right here in America. Since then, we've made a name for ourselves by making tires you can depend on. Tires built to handle any road this country can throw at them, and relied on by every kind of driver. So you know that no matter where life takes you, with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
This has been a QBC television production, in association with our partners and sponsors. QBC broadcasts on Comcast Cable Channel 22, and live streams its programming on Facebook and YouTube. All rights reserved by Quinn Media and QBC, programming that serves the South Jersey market.